Good evening, everybody. I'll call this regular meeting to order for January the 7th, 2025. Happy New Year to everybody. The town of Swan River acknowledges that we are located on Treaty 4 territory, the land of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. The spiritual and practical relationship to the lands creates a rich heritage for our learning and our life as a community. We shall honor and respect these treaties. Councillor Powell is not here tonight with notice. Resolved that the agenda for the January 7, 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted. Moved by Councillor Bobick, second by Councillor Boychuk. All in favor? It's carried. Councillor Medwid, I'll watch for your hand that goes up when we're voting.
Sure, there might be a little delay for me to hit the buttons.
Yeah, I'll do that before I ask the second question.
Okay, thank you.
Result of the minutes of the December 17, 2024 regular council meeting be approved. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Any discussion? Heirs? All in favor? It's carried. Okay, 6 communications. 6.1. Resolved that the letter from Multi-Material Stewardship, Manitoba, dated December 13, 2024, regarding the 2025 municipal recycling funding payments be received. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion. Councillor Medwid and then Councillor Bobick.
Yeah, I just wanted to note, I believe the total was for just over $77,000 for the year, which, based on the current financial report, will cover maybe 3 OSS pickups, just slightly over 3 OSS pickups. So I think there really needs to be some either pressure put on the province to either up what they're supporting us, and or we need to look into a new recycling program, because this is becoming very cost prohibitive, and we've been saying that for a few years now.
Councillor Bobick.
Just speaking on the same issue here, I just roughly figured it out. It's roughly costing us $600,000 a year. Am I correct? Close to that for OS&S's contract?
No, it's dropped significantly now because we've dropped the commercial.
Okay, prior to that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So this $77,000 would be based on that commercial though, right?
This is
That's all residential?
this is residential multi-material, but yeah, it doesn't cover the cost of the residential because the residential
Okay, I
is
guess
$26,000.
my question would be, I don't know if you can answer that or not, or what would the price be this year?
It was like $26,000 a month.
Okay. Just explain it here quickly.
What are we doing here right now?
Just dividing it by tons. It's right now, after the expenses of everything, is costing us $1,327 a ton of the taxpayers' money to send the recycling out of Swan River. After you take everything back. So keep that in mind, like Councillor Medwid said, that's something we should be looking at and approaching the province. It's costing us, or I should say the taxpayers, $1,327 a ton. And this is all rough figures, but we're just closely talking. Just to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Okay, on the funding letter, any more further discussion? Councillor Boychuk. Okay, all in favor? Carried. I would suggest that further conversation to that, as far as the funding and what Councillor Bobick and Councillor Medwid are referring to, maybe you bring that up or discuss that at a COW meeting.
Okay,
And then
thank
that could be prepared for a conversation with the minister of that department at a future date.
you. Okay, thank you.
6.2, resolved letter from the Honorable Sean Fraser, PC, MP, Minister of Housing, Infrastructure, Communities, dated December the 19th, 2024, regarding the Town of Swan River Public Reserve Beautification Project be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Boychuk. Discussion? Councillor Medwid.
What specifically is this funding for?
Okay, well, I'll let Director Harvey explain that because it was a project for a grant that he applied for about almost 2 years ago, I believe. Go ahead.
Yeah, so there's a Public Works yard and then an area that is owned by Public Works where we dump snow, and then beyond that is a public reserve. And public reserves, they have multiple uses. One of them is for Public Works. So we were dumping snow when we had a really heavy snowfall year. However, we did clear close to some houses and they didn't want to see a snow dump behind them. And there was a discussion with the transportation chair about not using that as a snow dump. So we found another area of town for overflow if we fill up by the Public Works yard. And then there was also discussion, because currently it's just grass, and there's some ponding water to plant trees and do some drainage work there. And there was this beautification fund that covers up to 80%. So I applied for that 2 years ago and it was on the capital budget, and then I didn't hear anything, so I just assumed that we didn't get it, but we just got this letter, so I'll put it back on the budget for 2025.
Okay. Councillor, or Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Nope, Director Harvey answered the question.
Okay. So then that'll be something that we'll be discussing in budget for 2025.
Yeah, it'll show up as a capital item with the 8% grant, and then we'll get to council whether to proceed or not.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 6.3, resolve that the Municipal and Northern Relations Bulletin 2024-32 regarding rates for railway, roadway, pipeline, and gas distribution systems be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Councillor Boychuk. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 6.4. There was a resolution there, was there?
There should be, but there is not. Give me 30 seconds.
Okay. I thought I read one there.
I don't know, what's that? Yeah, there was a... I don't know. I guess I'll leave it blank in the resolution right now, but once we have our discussion, we can add it in.
I need a resolution to somebody to move the second.
Yeah, I'll
Open
just
discussion.
leave it blank, or I'll just state that we have one representative or two here. Or no, sorry, they want to meet with us, so
Yeah. This.
it's really we'll acknowledge the letter.
Okay. Yes. Exactly. And then we can have discussion on it.
Okay.
Okay, 6.4, resolved that the letter from the AMM in regards to the annual delegation meeting be received. Moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion, Councillor Whyte.
I believe it's on the 4th of February, which is a Tuesday. I'm hoping that we would work around them. They've got to travel, they've got to come from all over the province. We may have to meet earlier or later or an alternate date if that's a regular council meeting. I'm prepared to move to an alternate date to help those guys out.
Yeah, the CEO and I both had a discussion about this. The AMM has set these up, and they are going to be here in the valley and plus some other places in Parkland District. So I recommended that we change the date for that meeting to February the 5th.
Perfect.
So that will be something that we probably do at our next meeting, is just change the date to February the 5th. So, Councillor Medwid.
Will we be having a CAL meeting to discuss topics to bring forward for this meeting? Because
Yeah.
I have a few topics I would like to have addressed at the meeting while they're here.
Yeah. Or if anybody has any prior to that, can send an email to myself and to the CEO as well, leading up to that meeting. Okay, further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 6.5.
So this is when requesting representation. There's again no resolution. I'll just write one. Apologize. Okay, good to go.
Resolve the town of Swan River approve representation to the Manitoba Environment and Climate Change Roundtable on Aquatic Invasive Species, moved by Councillor Whyte, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion, Councillor Whyte.
Yeah, I think I'm assuming government is looking at entities within the communities that are also looking at, because I don't believe our council as a whole is looking at AIS. Watershed, I'm sure, is, and Swan Valley Sport Fishing has staff looking into this all the time. So I would encourage, reach out to whoever wrote this letter and saying, hey, maybe we want to invite the water stewardship guys and or Swan Valley Sport Fishing, because it's a Zoom meeting regardless, because they'll know more than we do.
And it is virtual, so there's no travel involved.
So
we can do that.
So,
We will reach out to see if we can invite the
Sport
two
fish.
entities you talked about,
Yeah.
but just so you know that it's virtually, so no
Yeah.
travel involved.
Perfect, thank you very much. Todd Yakulashik is our chair. And Don, Councillor Bobick is the chair of the Limitation.
okay, so on the resolution, I have two representatives from the municipality. Councillor Medwid.
My question is in regards to that, have we determined or pre-decided who the two members or up to two members will be to attend?
Not yet. This is just to approve for two. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Okay. 6.6, resolve the demolition permits 5424 through 5724 be received. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Go ahead.
Mr. Harvey, you could probably answer this. I see that there's the demolition permits for the home on Crescent Drive and 8th Avenue South. So does that mean that the contractor that we awarded those demolitions to will be getting to those buildings in short order now?
Should be, yeah.
Okay.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Agreed.
It's carried. 7.1, resolve the Director of Public Works report be received. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, second by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? CFO Gnida?
Sorry, I tried raising my hand to answer the previous question about the demolition. I believe I was told that it's going to have to wait till spring. The ground's too frozen to do it anytime soon.
Okay, thank you. So on the 7.1, any discussion? Councillor Medwid.
Yeah, I have two questions. One is regarding the contaminated soil, or snow, sorry. Can you give us a little more information on that, please?
There was overfill of fuel at a gas station, and when it overfilled, they didn't know it was because of the snow, but it was in the snow. So environment went up there and talked to our environmental officer, and he was okay with us accepting it. So there'll be truckloads of snow coming in that's contaminated fuel coming to the contaminated soil site.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, it indicates in Director Harvey's report that he has dedicated time to the process of hiring a clerk. I'm just wondering why Director Harvey is involved with the process of hiring a clerk, office clerk.
Our CAO was sick the morning that we had 2 clerks scheduled. So I filled in for him with the CFO, and it was just because he was sick, so I filled in.
Fair enough, thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried.
Agreed.
7.2, result of the December 2024 Swan River Handy Transit Van report be received. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Councillor Medwid.
I have, I think just one question. When I'm looking at the report, I don't see anything indicating tracking whether or not cancellations are due to road conditions. And in my mind, weather conditions and road conditions are 2 separate things. The weather can be nice, but the roads may not have been cleared after a storm, which may result in some cancellations. And I'm just wondering if we are specifically asking this when people are canceling, because I'm noticing January of 2024 and December of 2024, there was 13 cancellations in both those months. And I'm just curious as to whether we're tracking whether or not that's due to road conditions specifically. And I find that that information would be valuable, because if we're trying to advocate, we went a period of time where we had 0 bus service in our community. I believe we've got one up and running again, but this affects our transportation and the ability for people to potentially get to medical appointments and or other places and things. So it's not just necessarily impacting our local community, but it's impacting travel, because I noticed our list for use has quite a few destinations on it, larger than previous years when we got the annual report. So the handy van does look to be getting used more often to get places, and I just want to know that with the changeover in staff that we are asking for that data so we can track it, so we can potentially use it to be advocating for better services, not just with handy transit, but making sure it could be a good case for advocating for why we need more medical resources right here locally in our community as well.
We don't currently separate those. We can ask, we can try to see if we can try and separate weather conditions from road conditions. I'm assuming the results may be questionable, but because usually they're one of the same. But we can ask that supplementary question when they cancel.
That would be appreciated because sometimes MTI is a little, they're a little slow too. Well, I don't know that slow is the right word, but they're a little behind in their work in getting roads cleared, which can impact that transportation and travel as well.
I think that that conversation probably would have to be done at a COW meeting, because one member of council cannot give direction on how we do administration work.
Yeah.
So that would probably have to be something that would be discussed at a COW meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's carried.
Agree.
Okay, council and CAO reports. Councillor Whyte.
Well, firstly, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and 2025 is going to be better than last year, and last year was pretty darn good. I look forward to working with the team again and staying positive and working on. Not a lot of meetings recently. I want to compliment our administrative team. I know Deputy Mayor Moriaux spent a lot of time lining up the two CAO interviews, possible CAOs, and we had a meeting on the 27th of December. And we had a meeting on the 30th of December talking with those individuals, and two, I felt, exemplary candidates. It's going to be difficult making a decision, but that will happen. And then today I had the pleasure of sitting in on a meeting with the Minister of Highways, talking about potential developments within the valley and the studies that they're going to do, and hopefully encourage the community as a whole to get involved. So not all that busy, but good all around bottom line. Thank you.
Councillor Bobick.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, also attended the minister's meeting today with transportation. There's some interesting stuff coming out of there. Hopefully it all comes true. Just to let everybody know, there will be an election on the 16th of January at the watershed. That's when we'll do our yearly election. So I'll be letting my name stand for chair of Upper Swan, Lobster Creek, and then we'll let you know which way it goes from there, and whether we'll have a new board or the same board, or looking like we'll have some new people on there, so that'll be interesting. Also was involved in the CAO interview with one person there. Yes, it's some interesting facts there, so we have a big decision. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Medwid.
I also attended the Minister of Transportation meeting today. It's wonderful that they doubled our commitment for snow removal along Main Street and 4th Ave North, but I was a little surprised at the resounding praise and gratitude we showed them when we, in our meeting, discussed the fact that it still doesn't come close to meeting what we actually spend. I just feel it would have been a little more honest if we had shown appreciation for the increase, but also indicated that we need to have further meetings and discussions to get that amount up to what we actually spend on the amount of snow removal for Main Street and 4th Ave. And I'd also like to take a moment to bring attention to call to action number 57, because I feel it relates to our strategic plan. And with 2025 budget season underway, I'd like us to put some consideration into that as we do our planning. So call to action number 57 is we call upon federal, provincial, territorial, and municipal governments to provide education to public servants on the history of Aboriginal peoples, including the history and legacy of residential schools, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, treaties and Aboriginal rights, Indigenous law, and Aboriginal Crown relations. This will require skill-based training in intercultural competency, conflict resolution, human rights, and anti-racism. I would like us to potentially come to a CAL meeting because I'd like us to see potentially reaching out to our First Nation neighbors, chief and councils, and see if they may have some elders that are willing to provide some training, not just to our staff or admin, but also to council, be it in Swan River or going out to their communities and starting that engagement in learning.
Is that everything?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Boychuk.
Just been busy with the interviews for the CEO position, and yes, like we discussed there's going to be, we're very lucky to be in the situation that we're in, I guess, good thing. And that's about it. That's kept us pretty busy over the holidays.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Nothing that's really hasn't been mentioned already. I guess spending a lot of time on meeting with potential CEO candidates through the interview and in-person conversations with them, along with all the background work that's going in to set all that up and carry those arrangements through. But also with Director Harvey and Director Clouson, we've been preparing for our upcoming round of collective bargaining with the union and the staff. And we currently have, I guess, an essential services agreement framework submitted to them due to the requirements under the province that now municipalities have to have essential services agreements in place due to the legislation that the province enacted in the fall that employers are no longer allowed to have contractors or utilize contractors during a work stoppage. So you have to have an essential services in place. So both the town and union has agreed that shouldn't be a very difficult challenge to figure out on an essential service agreement. So we submitted our request or thoughts on that to them, and we're just waiting to hear back. Unfortunately, that law was just enacted late November or something like that. So the town is one of the first municipalities to actually go through this. We're actually even behind with some of the timelines because this is when it enacted the law for essential services. You had to have that accomplished 90 days before the end of your termination of your agreement. The law came in within that 90 days, so we're treading new ground here. So it'd be interesting to see how the union responds to what they consider essential services on a municipal front. And then we have dates in February, 3 dates set for in-person negotiations, with 2 days primarily set for negotiations and a third day if need be. So hopefully both sides also agree that we should be able to reach a conclusion with that in that time frame. So hopefully by the end of February or at the end of that meetings, we should have a tentative collective agreement to bring forward. So, and that's all.
Okay, very good, thank you. For me, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the meeting with Minister Naylor from Manitoba Infrastructure and Transportation. The doubling of the grant, I guess you could say, for the snow removal of Main Street is far higher than, very close to, I guess, our average, what we've had in the last number of years. And we're very grateful that the minister and her department has increased that or doubled that to where it is at the $28,000. They also had, we had talked about this last fall, increased our airport funding for some of our maintenance, which we thank the minister for that as well. We talked about PTH 10 and 83 intersection and the roundabout proposal that is going to be, they're going to have a public consultation shortly, and that will kind of like start the process with the public and hearing what the public has to say about roundabout, or what we should do, other ideas, I guess, for that intersection and dealing with, you know, the hazards of going through that intersection. So that consultation will happen, you know, hopefully maybe, I think in the next month or month and a half. And then we'll hear a little bit more in the fall time, but they really want to get the project going in the spring of 2026. Highway 10A and 11th Avenue South. We talked about installing streetlights. That's around where the ambulance garage is, and having a traffic stop there, or lights, I guess you could say, to allow traffic kind of to slow down, but also for people, pedestrians, to cross. So they're actually going to do some study that we'll hear on that this fall. So that's a good thing too. We talked about the maintenance on Main Street, and of course, you know, if it's patching or sealing or whatever it might be, so they're going to look at that. That's more on kind of their maintenance on what they need to do. And of course, Ditch Road, that's been always a discussion of ours for a number of years, and they are ready to almost present some kind of a study to us that we'll see sometime in the next couple of weeks. And the project, what it will look like for 2026 and beyond for Ditch Road. So it sounds promising that something's going to happen with Ditch Road in the next little bit. So that's great news. So that is it with me, other than what everybody else has already said. CAO Poole, you have a report there that you had on the agenda. I don't know if you want to talk about that or anything else.
Yeah, I posted the results of Council's priority workshop. I don't think there's anything too earth-shattering there, but I think this can be used to assist Council in their budgetary processes over the next year, that's for sure. I find it interesting that we added the administrations on there. I don't think it's too far apart, but again, nothing too surprising. I don't think there's anything on here that I guess wasn't expected. It's good to go through those workshops, get our priorities written down, and it's another tool in the belt for Council in making their tough decisions during the budget. For the office, we sent offers out to 2 clerical staff. We'd like to thank the admin for, or I should say the hiring team, for doing the interviews in my absence. But that process is moving forward. Just working on transition documents for the next CAO and going through the budget meeting with the administration staff this week. And I guess just in response to the comment made earlier on the gratitude to the province, I do believe that giving credit when it's due, you know, when you ask for operational funding from the province, you know, their track record isn't very good. So for them to double the airport funding and operations and to double the Main Street snow clearing funding, I think is done due to Council's lobbying efforts that's being done and the Minister approving when that it's needed. So I felt she needed to be thanked.
Absolutely. Okay, that's it. Any questions of the CEO? Go ahead.
So you sent out 2 offers for clerical staff, and do we have acceptance? Do we have start dates? Is there any help coming? Are we down to 1 now?
One accepted and we'll start on the 13th.
Okay, so there's some help coming. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we shall move on. 8, new business, 8.1. Result of the emergency response plan for 2025 be approved. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? All in favor?
Agreed.
Carried. 8.2, resolve the Swan Valley Chamber of Commerce 2022 and 2023 financial statements be received. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Deputy Mayor Moriaux?
I've just got one question to CFO Gnida. If those financial statements adequately meet what he was looking for and what's required in our, I guess, granting process for them.
Go ahead, CFO Gnida.
Yes, those financial statements are sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Medwid.
I'd like to bring 3 concerns forward that I'd like to have on the record. The first one being on the 2023 financial statement on page 3, revenues. It states that grants are $58,360, yet on the last page, where it lists grants, it lists $60,500 as total. So there's some discrepancy in the numbers there. I don't have note of the page number here in my notes, but in the chamber, I think it's under expenses. They again recognize $58,360 of grants, $8,000 provided by our town annual grant, and a total of $58,000 from the town, with their expenses showing crime programs only having $24,159.47. So that's $26,200.53 still not utilized with regards to crime programs. But there was quite a bit of effort from the chamber to, I'm just going to put it out there, pressure town and council to provide the $50,000 of the crime reserve to the chamber to take immediate action on dealing with the local crime. And over half of that money still is unspent, and the council has not received a single update or report on the results of that investment towards the chamber. So it would actually be nice to know what the chamber has actually done with that $50,000 that they publicly, through social media and the local radio station, made a big deal about us delaying and dragging our heels on releasing that money for such great efforts for the community, to actually get a report and an update on how that money is working towards reducing the crime in our community. And under the revenues, it lists an item of sales and services, both in 2022 and the 2023 financials. But the very definition of a chamber of commerce is that they are not to be in business. They are there to support businesses. So I'm very curious to know what is the source of that revenue for those sales and services, and are they being done at the expense of another business that already exists in the community? So those are 3 things I'd like on the record, and if the Chamber of Commerce can maybe respond to those for us, that would be greatly appreciated.
All right. Any further discussion? Councillor Boychuk.
I think, I'm not sure if this answers it, but the operating fund for 2023, the grants were $58,360, and then the capital fund from 2023 is $2140 for a total of $60,500. So that could be the difference there, just the numbers aren't exactly because it's in that capital fund column. And then I think the sales is referring to the fact that the Chamber of Commerce provides insurances to businesses, I believe. Like that's part of, yeah. I would say that is likely it.
Okay.
If I were to take an educated guess at it, as far as that goes.
Okay.
If I can speak again.
The purpose of the resolution is to accept them, not overly to critique. We can actually ask the Chamber of Commerce to come to a council meeting and ask the Chamber President to make an explanation on the financials if we choose. Okay, any further discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The very last
on the
page of the 2020
on the resolution.
Yeah, on the very last page of the financial statement for 2023, it lists $58,000 in grants from the town of Swan River and $2,500 in grants from Swan Valley West, or Municipality of Swan Valley West, for a total of $60,500. And it's misreported earlier in the report on page 3, where it only accounts for $58,000 in grant money.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Okay, 8.3. Result, the Swan Valley Fire Board 2025 budget be accepted. Moved by Deputy Mayor Moriaux, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? Councillor Medwid.
I'm just wondering what the comparison is. I see the total amount for the town of Swan River is $232,703.51. And last year, the contribution was $227,112.68. And I believe last year it was determined that we were actually paying more towards the new combined Valley Fire Department than we were paying for fire services previously. And it was mentioned that the first year was going to be higher in expenses due to startup. So I'm just wondering, what is the difference that we're currently paying, because the price has gone up again compared to what we were paying previously?
Okay, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I can answer that. So overall, the annual budget for the fire department or the fire board has decreased $11,650 from previous years. So it's an actual decrease. As according to the agreement, the budget is divided based on coverage area and the portioned assessment. So this year's, there was a reassessment year in 2025. So the town's assessment portion has gone up. So instead of last year, the percentages were 55% for the town, 45% for Swan Valley West. This year in 2025, the portioned assessment is 57.99 for the town of Swan River, and Swan Valley West is 42.01. So that's why the town's actual contribution dollar amount has gone up, because our total portioned assessment, when it's pooled together with the same geographic coverage area as the Swan Valley West, makes up those percentages. So we've, and that's why you actually see the dollar amount for our town's contributions gone up slightly, but Swan Valley West's contribution amount has gone down because they make up less of the portion assessment for the coverage area. But as I said, the operational expense budget, along with the capital contribution and the debenture payments, is $11,650 cheaper than last year.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Councillor Bobick.
So with this new fire board, the town of Swan River ratepayers are getting this, the same or better service for less money or more money or the same money? Roughly.
Do you want to answer that?
I think it's a, and I speak for me personally
Yeah,
without
yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff, but I don't have the actual fire department usage, like call stuff,
Okay.
where the majority of the calls this year were significantly in the town of Swan River.
Okay.
At one point when it was 55, it was almost 50-50 2 years ago, where now it was pushing 75-80% for the town and 20% for 25% for Swan Valley West.
Yeah, and I understand that, it's a hard figure to come up with.
Yeah,
but-
and then a majority of the man hours combined out of all the fires, a big significant amount, like around a similar 75-80% of the man hours were actually contributed or expended within the town. So,
Okay.
so if we would have been on the old calculations before, probably our contributions went up because it was based on man hours. So,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So,
Okay, no,
yeah, so
that answers my question, thank you.
So this year you would have had to seen a real huge swing. So,
Councillor Medwid.
I'm not sure if it fully answers my question, what's been said, but it would be nice if we did actually do a comparable report from what the services were and see those service rates, operational rates compared to what it is now, because I think that's also something the taxpayers will be asking and wondering as well, is are we getting the same bang for a buck, a better bang for a buck, or a worse bang for a buck with the change? And I think if we have that reported, one, it'll help me, it might help fellow council members, but it will also be good for the public to be able to see the comparables.
I think that the people of the town of Swan River and also the people that live in Swan Valley West are receiving very good service for what they pay for fire protection. I don't know if you want to respond to any of that yourself as far as comparisons, because I think in your last comments about how we calculated, how we shared fire protection in the past was never really perfect, and now we have it this way where I think it's a little bit more equitable. So I don't know if you want to respond to that.
I can, and stuff like that. Like, the town was a strong advocate for a Swan Valley Fire Board, and we came up and we agreed to an agreement that both sides there, and to look forward and disband it would be very painful and costly to either party. So that ship has sailed. We are part of that fire board, and that's so. And we agreed on a funding method for it that would eliminate the major swings in the annual contributions to it based on the most current portion assessment. Take into account if there was a major construction in one coverage area that may put it, but basically from year to year, I think this year was basically a 3% deviation from one to the next. So that's a pretty it's a reliable thing when it comes budgeting, that you can have some consistent figures versus going from, like, say, for example, this year 232 to something like that's maybe 100,000 based on man hours, because it was a hard target in the past to pin that down, because it all depended on where the fires were. And traditionally the town was really busy, and then one year it was basically 50-50, and actually Swan Valley West coverage area was actually ahead at one point on the man hours. So it all depends on the scenarios of the year and stuff like that. So I think we came to an agreement, and this is what we got. We can definitely share with the councils the financials, comparing from one year to the next. That's not an issue.
Okay, further discussion? Councillor Powell.
No, I thank you for that. Like, I'm all for the fire board. I think it's a great idea for the whole entire valley. Like, I think we should be very proud of what we've got going on here, and just kind of to explain it, I guess my question was to explain that there's going to be different years, and there's going to be ups and downs, and because we can't tell where the man hours are going to be and what they are. But at the same time, I've always been an advocate that I would always help a neighbor out put a fire out. So I mean, that's what we're doing as a council here. So congratulations to the fire board.
Councillor Medwid.
I might be getting misunderstood. I'm not implying that I'm opposed to the changes, but I've been asked questions about the cost of it and whether or not, and what the differences are. And I can't answer that myself because I don't have enough understanding of it. And I don't feel I'm necessarily getting a clear understanding from what's being discussed tonight. So what's been mentioned about there's differences in tracking, then you know what I'm hearing is, well, if we had a report put together to do those comparables and then also sum it up with, here's the differences, and moving forward, this is what it's going to, why it's going to be easier to track this, share this, and communicate this to the public. Those could be things that are kind of summarized and included in the report, so then even the public knows moving forward, this is kind of what they can expect for information and results when they're looking at the stats for the fire hall. I was looking at the, you mentioned the calls for service, and they did put out a Facebook social media post, which is what sparked a couple questions my way, I guess, and I reviewed that, and that's great to see that information, but how is it comparable with the dollars and cents that we're spending towards it? It's, I think, legitimate questions from our public, and I just feel it would be nice if we could put that together in a report that's kind of easy to read and to share for those who are wanting it.
So we're getting a little bit away from the resolution. We're talking about accepting the financials for 2000 and, or for the 2025 budget. Councillor Medwid, you have every opportunity to speak with any member of the fire board if you have any questions on the fire board at any time. Councillor Whyte.
I hate isolating because first I want to thank both the fire board and their team. And one of our goals as council forever has been for the valley, all the entities to work collaboratively. Is it perfect? No. Is it good? Absolutely. So when we look at the CT scan, a collaborative valley thing, you look at the GIS, a collaborative valley thing, you look at the fire board, we've all worked together. Is it perfect? Not. But somehow we seem to get some individuals and to react to the negatives. And by and large, the majority of the world, the public locally are ecstatic about 3 huge entities where we work collaboratively for the valley as a whole. Far from perfect. I want to thank you, Deputy Mayor Moriaux, for being upfront with those numbers, and those numbers are available to anybody who wants to look at them. They're public information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sticking to the resolution, CO Poole had his hand up.
And it's just for information, but with this type of agreement, if you understand it, it's not fair to just say, to pull apart what services we're providing for the cost that we're getting it, because it's not written up that way. It's circumstantial. It's not just grading 1,000 meters every 6 weeks. You know, who knows how many fires you're going to get. But the point is if you get the information for the services provided by how much we're getting into it, you have to let the public know about the consequences of disbanding the agreement as well. That goes hand in hand with the services that we're getting for the cost, is also the risk that we carry by what happens if we disband it. So we can provide that information, but you're going to get, and you should tell that person who's asking the consequence. If you think that that's a bad deal on whatever metric you're pulling out of the agreement or cherry pick out of it, the consequences of disbanding the agreement are very large for whoever wants to do that. And they have to be relayed with that information as well. So we can provide that.
And you know, I tell any member of council, if you have individuals that are approaching you and asking you questions on, if it's, as an example, the fire board, then direct their questions to myself or to Councillor Boychuk or to Deputy Mayor Moriaux. We sit on the board, we can answer any of the questions. Nobody seems to have no problem with approaching me. I can answer any question that anybody asks at any time. So further discussion on that, on the resolution. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Okay, 10.1. Resolves the accounts as follows be hereby approved for payment. General accounts checks number 32352 to number 32424 totaling $238,861.89 as listed on Schedule A. Checks number 32416 is voided as it was a wrong payee and replaced by check number 32419. Payroll accounts checks number 5523 to number 5527 totaling $142,657.92 as listed on Schedule B, and direct deposit payments totaling $825 as listed on Schedule C, and direct deposit payments totaling $928,775.47 as listed on Schedule D. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Councillor Bobick. Discussion? Councillor Medwid.
I have one question. I was noticing that the hotel rooms for the AMMs, there were 2 that were, one was slightly higher and one was significantly higher than the other hotel room cost. So I'm just wondering why that is.
That's the the joint room?
The meeting room.
The meeting room. Meeting room. Same thing that we always have every year. Further discussion? All in favor?
Agree.
It's carried. 10.2. Resolve the financial statements for the 11 months ending November the 30th, 2024 be adopted as received. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Councillor Boychuk.
I had one or a few questions here. The resource conservation and industrial development was at 182.4%, and I was just wondering what happened, or if they're kind of the explanation for that.
CFO Gnida, did you catch that?
Yes, when we did the budget, we thought that the Clean Fuels Fund, whatever kind of zone rating study, was going to be between the consultant and the federal government and wouldn't involve the town. But then later in the year, the federal government would not give the money directly to the consultant, so we have to pay the consultant and the federal government pays us. So that was revenue and expenditure that was not anticipated when the budget was prepared. We thought it would just be between the government and the consultant.
And in and out.
Yeah, no, one more.
Okay, go
And
ahead.
then, this is a good thing, but the return for investments was over by 17,424.98. I was just wondering where that came in from.
Interest.
Interest rates are very good right now.
Okay. That's
Okay,
awesome.
good question. Any further discussion?
Hmm.
Go ahead.
The other one I had noticed was the recreation programming only used like 24% of the budget. Just wondering what programming wasn't used or put forward.
Director Clouson, you want to answer that?
I have to look at that. I saw that too, and it might be just, it's been coded to the wrong line. I think that one is mostly for swimming lessons and programming at the pool, but I have to look at it.
Can you get back and respond to that?
I will.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then the only other thing was the rec wages and benefits was over the 12%. Like pool is quite a bit under, but the rink was.
But if the pool's under, then you still got the staff, so.
Yeah.
Regular staff, so if one's under and one's over, it balance out.
Yeah.
CFO Gnida.
For the recreation programming, again, when the budget was prepared, did it allocating administrative wages according to how they had been done in the past, but then later in the year we decided that it was more appropriate to split it between the facilities, and so wages that have been previously coded to just programming have been split between the facilities and the actuals.
And then the only other, last one was under the pool, the property taxes were over quite a considerable amount.
Yes, the assessment branch finally,
Ah,
10 years after the pool was built, finally have assessed the building. Up until now, we've been paying, or the property taxes have been only on the land, and they have finally now assessed the building. So yeah, that'll be the new amount going forward.
ouch.
It's still a payback or something, so it's an in and out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's everything.
Okay, very good. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Eleven, 11.1. Resolve the bylaw number 2, 2025, being the bylaw of the town of Swan River, to amend various bylaws with regards to our enforcement activities, be read a first time. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? Councillor Medwid.
Well, I have two questions, but my first one is, I see on our list, we start with bylaw 02 of 2025, but where's bylaw 01 of 2025?
One would be the fire protection and rental safety bylaw.
Okay, so it is yet to come forward?
I believe, yeah, it could be still in draft form, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. My other question, or I guess consideration, is my one concern is with regards to one of the changes for the responsible pet ownership, and I'm just trying to see if I can find where it is, but it's in reference to the 3 stripes. I have some concerns. They're looking at putting back in the statement, any animal that is impounded 3 or more times within any 12-month period while owned by the
Can
same
you
owner
refer to
shall
the
be sold or
document?
disposed of to a new owner, or shall be destroyed regardless of whether it is properly licensed under this bylaw. I'm fine with there being a consequence for a 3-strike rule, but I can't say I can support destroying a dog simply because the owner is irresponsible. That is cruel and unusual punishment to a pet or an animal to be held accountable for an owner's negligence.
Councillor Medwid, just in the future when you're referring to a part of the resolution or to a document, just refer to the page or the number that you're referring to. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Just a reminder that this is first reading, so it'll be going to Cal for further deliberation on this, where we can hash out all those discussions.
That's correct.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Councillor Medwid.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Agreed.
It's carried. 11.2, resolve the bylaw number 3, 2025, being a bylaw of the town of Swan River to establish an organizational structure for the municipality be read a first time. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Councillor Whyte. Discussion? All in favor?
Agreed.
It's carried. 11.3, resolved that the bylaw number 4, 2025, being a bylaw of the town of Swan River to regulate the proceedings and conduct of the council and the committees thereof be read a first time. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. Discussion? All in favor?
Agreed.
It's carried. All right, we shall move to members' privilege, and I'll start with Councillor Boychuk.
I don't really have too much to say other than Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah. Wish everyone the best in 2025.
There you go. Thank you. Councillor Whyte.
Yes, Happy New Year, and I think it's going to be a great one, and in fact, Christmas has gone back to December 25th, it's no longer on the Julian calendar, according to Mr. Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, trying to not follow the Russian setup. I want to thank Director Harvey for on the 18th of December, he organized a social for his team that works out the cold because of the tough work, and you invited councillor and some of us that could attend, not everybody could. Enjoyed that. It's nice to meet with your team and support the work they do, so please thank them for the work they do.
And most of that organization was done by Jordan Brooks, so
Thank
I
Jordan for it.
appreciate that, but I'll definitely pass it on to Jordan. He did 95% of the work for that.
Thank you.
Thank him for that.
Tomorrow, for those of us who can make it on the protective services team, we're going to be meeting with retired superintendent of the RCMP, Duane McKinnon, and we can have some ideas to share how we can talk about where we are in the crime world and get some ideas. He's retired now and he's more than willing. He lives at Pine River. He's going to come in to meet with us at 2:45. I have no problem inviting the other council members. We'd like to be here. We'll be here at 2:45. And with the imminent departure of Mr. Poole, I think it appropriate that we try to consider some sort of a social, we could call it a Christmas social even, a post-Christmas social, to say goodbye to Mr. Poole and his wife at our spending. So I'll try to make that happen. I've been trying for 2 years, so I'll stay optimistic. Thank you.
It'd be really great if you could host such a thing and help us pay for it, so we'll accept that. Councillor Bobick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just with touring with a potential CAO and seeing our facilities, and the thought came up that, you know what, when you get to look at them and know how good a shape they are and how impressive they are, that there should be a video or something taken and show our ratepayers what's there. It's pretty impressive when you get to take the tour, so I just maybe put that in thought later on. It is pretty impressive, the water treatment plant, the wells, all that stuff. It's pretty neat to see. Just over the Christmas holidays, had met lots of people. We got lots of compliments on our snow removal, and some of the people that were here had moved away and came back for Christmas and commented on, you know what, the town of Swan River always has done a really good job on snow removal, so hats off to the guys. Pass it on. Also, congratulations to Thunder Hill. That's a good report coming out of there. Looks really good. I just haven't had the time. I haven't been feeling well enough to get up there, but I'm sure want to get up there and take part of it. Not that I'm going to go skiing, but I will eat a hamburger. Thank you.
While you're at it, tomorrow for the Thunder Hill people,
Yeah.
they're having lunch from 11 to 3. Anybody's welcome to go to Thunder Hill for lunch. No skiing.
Thank you, Councillor Whyte. On that snow removal, Councillor Bobick, you're absolutely right. And we have to commend the people that are doing an outstanding job of that, including the Main Street project that we've been taking care of. The people don't have to climb over snowbanks and to get into a doctor's office or whatever. So it's outstanding job. I drive around in a lot of other communities in and around the province and not too far away from here that they don't see what we have here. So we have to, give our people a good pat on the back for that. Councillor Boychuk. Oh, sorry, I did you already. Deputy Mayor Moriaux.
Two things. First one, I forgot to say it in my reports, but I had a meeting, I was the lone council member there with PH, when they came to the town office here and visited with us, and some going thing. And we talked about, they wanted to know, and haven't heard a response yet from council on the 2 Sharps bins. I believe we had come to an agreement where we would put one in Legion Park on the north end, not exactly sure where. But the second point, Director Clouson, that was still discussing with CMHA and that of where we would be putting the second one. So they're holding off to put those bins out for us in the locations that we select. So I think we need to have maybe next Tuesday button that up so that we can get them a formal response as to where we would want those bins. So, second point I want to just put out there, as some of you have known, I was probably, I've been on the PMH Board of Directors for the last 2.5 years. I submitted my resignation from the board at the last board meeting in December due to reasons that are publicly out there with my disagreement of the mandates and the directions that were given to the Board of Directors from the province of Manitoba regarding budgeting and some other mandates regarding harm reduction and that. So I felt that went against my beliefs on how that should be done and reported. So I tendered my resignation from that. So we'll see what the province does to refill the couple vacancies that are on the board. So, and that's all I got.
Okay. Well, I want to say on behalf of the council and the town of Swan River, thank you for serving on Prairie Mountain Health Board, which we knew that was a great thing that you did, and bringing concerns of our whole community as well as issues within all of Prairie Mountain Health. So thank you for your time there on the board.
Okay, thank you.
For myself, I think just some things that Thunder Hill Ski Club was mentioned. I was up there on New Year's Eve. They had a big celebration up there, and then they had some night skiing. I went up there. I didn't go there snowboarding or skiing. I think my time for that is over. But my son was up there, and it was the electricity or the activity there was great, and there's so many people. And kudos and hats off to all the volunteers that make that work. If you haven't been up there, go there and check it out, because it's a great piece that we have in our community. And the night skiing, gosh, if you're driving home one evening or late at night, you can see the lights, light up the hill there. So it's a great piece that we have in our community, and we had a great time there with the fireworks and everything that they had that night. So yeah, it's a great piece, and hopefully they keep on getting snow so that they can keep operating throughout the rest of the winter. For myself, other than that, AMM, one thing that I'm trying to organize, I said that I wanted to do this a little while ago, and I'm going to try to organize it, like actively try to get this going, but I really would like to have all the parkland heads of council with their CAOs meet quarterly to discuss our issues and bring our parkland area together to focus on issues that are parkland, not necessarily just for the AMM, but also for us as a collective to work together on what's common goals for the parkland region. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can work on getting us all together. And speaking of AMM, as you might know, that Kelsey is no longer in the parkland, the arm of Kelsey. They're now back, or they never were, but they are now in the north, where they probably should be in the north, but agriculturally, I believe that they thought that they should be in the parkland, but now they're back in the north. So anyway, that's where they are. Mr. Harvey.
I just want to thank the guys for the weather's been cold, and so Jordan tries to keep them more in equipment when he can, but back to the garbage truck are out there, so thank them for that work when it is not that pleasant outside. And then my wife and I borrowed my sister and brother-in-law's skidoo and tried out the trails in the Porcupine Hills, and those are really nice trails. There's some really good lookouts there, so kudos to the volunteers, and have that all signed and groomed. And that's a nice piece of the valley as well that I never experienced until just over the Christmas break.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. CO Poole.
Just a happy New Year to everybody. I think I'll have one more meeting after this, so I'm sure I'll prepare something. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you. TV land, I guess we'll go with Councillor Medwid.
Well, I like to set goals every year for things that I want to achieve, and with regards to council, one of my goals is to start familiarizing myself with the calls to action, specifically those that are in line with our existing strategic plan, as well as things we should be trying to work towards on a municipal level. Call to action number 57 I shared tonight, and this one I think will be a priority for me because it does focus on the requirement for municipal government to provide that training and education to our public servants, our staff, our administration, to make sure we have that understanding of the Indigenous peoples, what they have gone through, where they're at, and how we can come together collectively to move forward. I also want to comment that I am not opposed to the fire board, and I resent council's effort to repeatedly turn my questions into something they are not. The question I asked was simply to ask for comparables between the overall costs from pre-fire board to now. Nothing more. I never once mentioned any opposition to the fire board's existence or to the work our firefighters do to keep us safe. And I would really appreciate if for 2025, council can focus on refraining from gaslighting my questions into something that they are not.
I don't believe that was happening, but, okay, thank you. Director Clouson.
Just a couple things. The Sharps container, my apologies, I think I dropped the ball on this. I thought one of the last emails I read that the locations had been determined, and I did see the Legion Park on there, and I didn't see anything further about CMHA or that conversation, so my apologies, I kind of let that go. So I'll follow up with CMHA if we can see if there's any conversation we can have. And then as far as the pool goes, I did send out an email today, but in case you didn't have a chance to look, we started applying the silicone yesterday. It all came in, and the silicone itself says it has a 24-hour cure time. We're going to at least double that. I feel like the conditions of the pool are warmer and drier and more similar to what they are in the fall when we generally do this work. So we're feeling optimistic, but we are going to let it cure a ridiculously long time, probably a week. So then that would take us, that curing time, to about January 17th, and then it takes us about a week to 10 days to refill, warm the water, chlorinate it, do our water sample tests, and that kind of sits us at January 27th right now is our target date for reopen. We've been getting phone calls and stuff, kind of what that's our target date we've been telling people, so if you have people asking, I think that's a pretty fair timeline. That's all I have.
Okay, fair enough, thank you. CFO Gnida.
Looking forward to when we can start taking a look at the 2025 budget and making some decisions, spending for future.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, everybody. Resolved the pursuant of sections 152(3) of the Municipal Act, council go into committee and close the meeting to the public. Moved by Councillor Boychuk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moriaux. We have Human Resources and Personnel. All in favor? It's carried.